It's time. Essen is here. This is probably the biggest game convention on the planet. Lots and lots of new games, and we got to talk about the ones we're most excited for.
What's up, everybody? I'm Mike.
I'm Nick.
Like Nick said, it's time to talk about anticipation.
Patient. Indeed. So this is our most anticipated games from Essen. We're really, really excited to try all of these games.
Next week.
A lot of these we've been looking at for a while. So, like, you know what? Everyone first, like this video, subscribe if you haven't, but let's get right to number 10.
Psych, before we get to number 10, you know what we got to talk about?
Oh, yeah, a couple quick honorable mentions.
Now, the reason is because there's some expansions coming out
Yes.
that we want to talk about. So, real quick, Red Cathedral, Contractors, want to play that. They got 2 expansions for T games, or board and dice games.
Yeah, board and dice games, not
For
T games,
Origins, First
technically.
Builders, and Twantansuyu. We want all those things. I just want the expansions, but here's 10 just full on games right now.
All right, our number 10 is a game that I think should be playing very soon, and this is Tillotum. Tillotum is the next one in the big T game series.
Correct.
They had Terracotta Army earlier this year, but now they have Tillotum. And Tillotum, every person we've been hearing who's played this game has been like absolutely loving it, and specifically telling us like, no, you two will really love this game. The reason why it's number 10 is because we're already just like, we just know we're going to like this game.
It's like it's a T game from Board and Dice. We typically like those games. They do things that we enjoy. This one has like dice as you draft them. High value dice can do certain types of actions, but they're going to provide fewer resources, and the inverse is true.
Yeah.
I think that's going to be a really fun thing to balance, but like we kind of know we're going to dig this one, right? Like at least it's very likely. So there's no mystery here, and that's why it's number 10. It's not a reflection of the interest level per se.
I'm also pretty sure this one's going to be at Essen. So one thing we will say is that all these games on here are ones that are supposed to be for sale at Essen. But like, who knows? But Tillotum is one where I'm pretty sure that one's going to be there, which is also nice. And so Tillotum's number 10. We're super excited. We just kind of already know we should dig it. So that's why it's only number 10. But let's get to number 9.
So number 9 is Heat, Pedal to the Metal, which is a hand management, I think, kind of deck building-y racing game.
For me, one of the main reasons why I'm excited for this one is because, one, I do really like racing games. I'm not really into like Formula One kind of like racing in general, but I really like that theme in games.
Yeah, absolutely.
But then on top of that, this is a Days of Wonder game, and honestly, I feel like it's been a while since I've been excited for a Days of Wonder game.
Non-ticket to ride thing.
Yeah,
right?
exactly. There's always ticket to ride maps, but like this is a game. It's a racing game, kind of like hand management, like you said. But it seems like it's going to be really cool. And I'm like, oh man, is Days of Wonder kind of coming back to form? Because they were just hitting year after year after year after year. And they kind of subsided a little bit. And I feel like the industry kind of caught up with them. But I'm like, let's go, Days of Wonder. Let's bring it back.
I think in this game, you're kind of like trying to push it as hard as you can. But you're dealing with heat, which I think comes in the form of cards. And kind of mess up the flow of the cards you go because you're just running too hot.
Yeah.
So you got to manage that. And I think that's a really interesting idea of like, I'm going to try to go for it in the straightaways and things. But how do you manage kind of what's happening to your car?
Because there's so much stuff in races that you technically would have to manage. Like it could be like your tires. Like, do you need to go for a pit stop to get new tires and stuff like that? There's so much stuff, and the fact that you're pushing it, but you're gonna have heat. You want your car to explode. I don't know.
Whatever happens, but catastrophic failure. So that is Heat, Pedal to the Metal. Super excited for that. It might be a return to form for Days of Wonder, which we're pumped for, and that's number 9.
Number 8 is a game that I've never heard of until we were looking at the Essen preview on Board Game Geek, and this is Insecta, the Ladies of Entomology, which we're immediately interested in. One, because like entomology, I think is a really cool theme. Absolutely. I like sciencey type things,
bugs
and
are
it's
cool.
just like, and bugs are cool. Bugs are important. No one really likes bugs, but it's like they're cool. And so this one is Insecta, the Ladies of Entomology, and basically like the theme of the game is there's like lots of advancements in entomology, a lot of famous entomologists, and there was a lot of women who did a lot of great stuff in entomology who basically just got like ignored because they were women.
Get the credit.
And so this is like a tribute to those women
celebration.
Who like really pushed entomology but just didn't get the credit they deserve. I think it's a really cool theme and a really cool like way to revere those women and stuff like that. Absolutely. And on top of that, I just think it's a really cool theme. Yeah. It's got a really cool look.
You're essentially trying to collect the kind of like best array of insects from
pins,
around the world.
Put
doing the
pins
pins and study insects and stuff, which is just really awesome. A great idea for kind of a game. And I don't know if it'd be kind of set collection or things like that.
Yeah.
But just having that little scope of like, hey, there's really important people throughout history that push this field of science that we haven't ever talked about. So that's going to be the characters you're playing in the game is something that's really amazing. You shared a story earlier, said like, if ever there was an invention or some sort of advancement in the past, you're like, we don't know who did it. It was a woman who did it.
It was usually a woman,
And they did not want to name that person.
Yeah.
And that's why it's a mystery figure.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
you don't really know who invented that. Come on now. So I like that it's like, no, we're gonna celebrate that.
I think it's great. I think it's
a cool
cool.
game about
and
bugs.
In general, it's a cool theme. So yeah, Insecta, the Ladies of
Bugs for
Entomology, number 8. Super excited for it. Hadn't really heard of it, and now we're just super pumped.
Number 7 is beer and bread.
It's a 2-player game, which I'm already interested in. Yeah,
absolutely. By Scott Alms, very prolific designer, did a lot of the Tiny Epic games and stuff. And this is one where you and your opponent are.
You're working the same. You're like you're two rival families, and you have a competition every year of who makes the best beer and who makes the best bread. But you're having to work the same lands because you all work in the same area.
Yeah.
So there's this push and pull where you're going to have like really plentiful seasons and really dry seasons.
Yeah.
And you essentially are trying to bring the best beer and bread over like 6 years or 6 rounds or whatever it is. And then
I think you're kind of bouncing back and forth between having years of like fruitful growing, where I think you sort of have control of the crops, and then dry years, and I think you're trying to prepare for when you sort of have, again, those kind of fruitful years. So I like the idea of kind of the bouncing back and forth. Kind of reminds me of almost like Fields of Arle, where you're bouncing back from summer to winter, and in each of those seasons, you need to kind of focus on different things.
And within that, though, it's like you're only going to score whatever you do the worst in. So beer or bread. If your bread is 10, I don't know what the actual scoring is.
I think it's how much you're selling.
10, and your beer is 1, you're only selling 1. So it's one of those things where you have to balance the two, which is super cool. Yeah, beer and bread. It's by great publishers. It looks great. It's 2-player only. It just looks really, really good.
So number 6 is 11, which is all about running your own football club.
Yeah.
And you're kind of managing all aspects of it.
Yeah,
really.
you're like a football manager and stuff like that. You're managing all aspects of it. You're managing like PR people and like social media people and like managers, trainers.
Players.
And then you also have to like do trades and get different players, and then also have like the best player set up for like different matches and stuff. So it's all about being a football manager, which is, again, we talk about like it's weird that there's not more sports games.
Right.
And specifically that a lot of board games still come out of Europe. The fact that there's not more football or American soccer games is kind of weird. And like managing a team like that, there's so many things you can do with that.
And I think so many things that could translate into board game stuff. Because I'm guessing as you're playing, it's ultimately going to be fairly abstract about this, this combo with that gets you points. But it's just, I think it's such a rich world.
Yeah.
Like, it's such a big piece of our culture. Like,
I had seen this game a while ago, and I was like, oh, that's interesting. Like, like I'm not super into soccer, but it's just kind of like, okay, cool. And then like we were looking more and more into it as we're getting this list together, and I was like, this actually seems really, really cool. And I actually really like the theme, even though we're not the biggest soccer fan on the planet. And it's just like, this is really, really cool. So it kind of just kept skyrocketing up our list, and it actually made it all the way here to the 10, because our list was like 30-plus games long. It was very, very long. So 11 now is number 6. I'm really excited for this.
This one just seems very different from a lot of other games that we own and play. So I'm like, well, that's got me intrigued. So as always, make a different theme, and it'll make me listen up, right?
Yeah. 11's number 6. Let's get number 5.
So number 5 is Ottawa, or Tiwa. Which is an Uwe Rosenberg game.
A big lookout spiel, Uwe Rosenberg, big box.
It's going to be good and stuff. But this one's really interesting because it's set in Africa, and it's about...
It's set in Ghana,
In Ghana. It's about the relationship with the bat population.
Yeah, fruit bats,
Which is a real story, based on a real story where, bats can be seen as sort of these pests. And so for a long time, the people in the area were trying to get rid of bats because they're eating their fruit.
Yeah.
And then they realize that, by the bats being able to eat this fruit, they actually go out and poop and stuff, and they actually spread the fruit tree, like the seeds of the fruit trees, like kind of want to be eaten. That's how they spread, and it actually made for a very flourishing ecosystem. And so by allowing, the bats to kind of do their thing naturally, it actually makes the area much more rich and valuable in terms of growth.
It's like if you got rid of all the bees, it's like, who do you think pollinates your food?
Right.
And so it's like all these pests, they sting people. Get rid of them. It's like,
no,
you need to eat. And it's like, the bats were a huge part of the ecosystem. And so this game is all about that relationship.
And celebrating that relationship between like nature and man, right?
Yeah, exactly. And so, and it's super, super cool. And it's like a big Uwe Rosenberg game. We love big Uwe Rosenberg games by Lookout Spiel. And it's got such a cool theme, so different, so awesome, such a cool way to like focus on like a really wonderful part of history of just like, hey, like we needed to change this, and they went and changed it, and now the harmony between them is like absolutely outstanding. And it just seems super, super cool, and we've been interested in this game since the moment we heard of it. Ottawa is number 5. I'm so excited to try this one. It just seems really cool. It just seems really cool.
Absolutely. Bats for life,
Let's go.
Number 4 It's got me super interested.
What is this game?
It's the deal with the devil, man. I don't know. It's a game.
It's by CGE, yeah.
It's a blind trading game where you all have different roles. You could be the devil. You could be kind of a normal person. You could be a cultist. And you're going around making trades and stuff. And depending on what your role is, and no one knows what anyone else is, but this app that you're working with knows who's who and stuff. Yeah. And if you're the devil, you're trying to collect souls. So people are selling their souls for money and such.
Yep.
If you're a cultist, you are trying to give up as much of your soul as possible.
You're trying to get rid of your soul, yeah.
So it's kind of like one of these games where, you might have kind of in social deduction classic stuff, these roles, but set with really interesting stuff with the devil, which I know for some people will be like a put off, and they don't want to deal with that kind of stuff. I think it's a really fascinating idea for a game. I think it's fascinating, yeah. And it's just kind of bluffing.
And so you're basically trying to, you don't want anyone to think that you're the devil. So you're making these trades, but like you don't know who you're trading with. Only the app knows who you're trading with.
Right.
So you're doing these things, and so you're trying to like offer, and it has these really cool like envelopes where you put stuff in this like envelope, and it like shuts closed, and then you like boop it on the app, and the app will know like I don't know. Yeah. It seems wild. It seems super interesting and super, super cool. I really, really want to try Deal with the Devil. And I think it might be like 3 players only, maybe. I'm not entirely sure. Don't go around that. But nonetheless, it's super, super cool. I'm so fascinated with the heck this game is. I want to try it so badly. Yeah. Deal with the Devil's number 4, just because out of sheer curiosity, right?
I mean, the devil does, entice people.
Devil's in the deets.
Number 3 is Puerto Rico 1897.
Super pumped.
This is a new.
Well, it's the same game. That's
the
same
thing, exact
right?
game, mechanically and stuff with a different theme. It kind of shifts the focus of the theming, I should say, onto Puerto Rican people.
Yeah.
And their story, which is super cool. So Puerto Rico is a game that has been around for a long time, former #1 game of all time. Yeah. That has a very kind of colonialist lens that the game is put through, that has, for a lot of people, us included, we've soured on games like that over the years and stuff. So we've never actually played Puerto Rico, but it kind of launched so many other games like Race for the Galaxy and stuff, where there's a game where you have these actions and follow mechanisms, which many games use, which is awesome. So I love that they've rethemed the game to focus on Puerto Rican people. The game's called Puerto Rico. You ought to maybe focus on the people who live there, and that's what they've done in telling their story. Yeah, and but leaving the mechanisms, which are obviously amazing, they're exactly intact, the same. Completely intact.
Headed by Jason Perez, who makes Shelf Stories, the channel Shelf Stories. Absolutely amazing guy. Absolutely love him to death. Just a wonderful person. And so, and it's really, really cool. Really great art by, I believe, a Puerto Rican artist and stuff. Absolutely gorgeous. And so it's kind of like cool. It's like, hey, like this game is amazing.
And it's absolutely
Let's refocus this theme a bit and like bring it back out. And I'm super pumped, And so like we've been really, really excited ever since we heard about this. And yeah, we're gonna pick it up immediately because I'm super, super excited. I've always wanted to play Puerto Rico.
Yeah. And now we have a chance to.
Yeah, now we can. And it's super, super cool. So that's our number 3, Puerto Rico 1897. Super, super pumped.
Nick, what do we love almost more than anything?
Bumping tracks.
Taking tracks and bumping up those tracks. Now, this game, Rise, is about rising up 10 different tracks. There's so many tracks to bump.
This is by DLP Games, who make amazing games. So many amazing games like Orleans, like really big, heavy games, really fun stuff. And this is being brought over by Capstone, but Rise is a game, it's like an industry game where you're building up industries, kind of classic Euro-y stuff, right?
You're developing like a city.
Developing a city, building up industries. But the cool thing is you have to like treat the people in the city well, and you're trying to do kind of by them through like influence and like different kind of relations. But on top of that, you can only do well in this game if you're essentially according to like what's also good for the environment. Yeah. Which I think is really cool to be like, hey, this is an industry game, but like just burning a ton of coal ain't great.
Well, it makes sense because like, well, if you have the air be this like choking mass of like CO2, your people are not going to be thriving and they're not going to be happy, and that literally affects your score. You have to focus on conservation and the well-being of your people.
Yeah, and their satisfaction and stuff like that. So you have to build it in that way.
Gotta be nice if we had that in real life,
which is so cool. I really, really, I mean, it's just a cool theme. It's a cool kind of twist on that theme of like industrial stuff, building stuff up. But you also got to keep your people happy.
Balance,
you got to keep the environment happy, and then you're just bumping 10 tracks. It's by DLP, being brought over by Capstone. Mwah, mwah, mwah. That's all I want in my life, really. Rise seems super cool. From the moment we saw it, we were just like, yep, that's like this is gonna be a game for us.
Ridiculously up our alley.
Yeah, about as up our alley as you can get. Yeah, it's number 2. Number 1, though, might be slightly more up our alley. Let's get into it. Number one is built off a lot of reputation. It also looks really good. This is Woodcraft. We are huge Vladimir Suki fans. He's probably in our top 2 or 3 favorite designers. He made like Underwater Cities, The Prodigals Club, Pulsar 2849, so many good games. Praga Kaput Regni, such a good game. And Woodcraft is his next game. It's kind of a partnership with another designer.
Absolutely.
But this game is a game where you are essentially kind of crafting dice in a way,
you're
right?
like woodsfolk, and you're making different wooden wares. Yeah, you're working with wood literally that are going to be represented by different colored dice. There's kind of
different woods.
A low, medium, and a high
nice, rich mahogany
value dice or types of wood, right? There's green, yellow, and brown dice effectively in the game. And yeah, you're trying to make a cup by having 2 green 3s and a yellow 4.
Yeah.
And that's what you need to get to complete that. But you can do cool stuff. Like if I have a green 6, for example, I can use a saw and cut that die and make 2 dice and basically allocate the values how I want. So I have a 3 and a 3 or a 2 and a 4. So you can do these things to manipulate the dice. But I love the idea of like, well, I'm cutting that piece of wood in half, so now I have 2 dice that are lower value. And like, for whatever reason, that to me, I'm like, that is so smart.
Yeah.
That's such a good way to do that, where you actually feel like you're doing woodworking. You can do gluing and stuff and put things together. And I mean, like the ways, and it all is just mechanically manipulating dice values. But I'm like, it works so well with the art style and everything.
It's got a really cool action selection system. Blueberries are the money.
Oh, come on. Blueberry money. That's all I've ever wanted. The action selection system is reminiscent of Praga Kaput Regni.
Yeah, kind of.
A little bit, where there's this sort of action wheel. But if something has sort of been left behind for a while, a certain action, it will very likely become more valuable because it's like the great buzz saw. They all like worship the saw, right? This great buzz saw will give you different bonuses and stuff. So it rewards you for using actions that haven't been used as much. I don't know. I know this game, you can upgrade your workshop. You can get workers that give you all sorts of game-breaking powers. You can do stuff with dice, so I don't have to roll those dice. I just get to manipulate those dice. Thank goodness. The art, the styling, the blueberry money, all of it comes together, and I'm just like, I know I'm going to love this game so hard. So I'm so excited.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited. Yeah, I
want to play it.
For the moment we saw the designer, we saw like you're building dice or whatever. I'm just like, cool. Like I'm here for this. Like, yeah,
it's gonna be so delicious.
Woodcraft looks really, really good. Again, an absolutely banger of a designer for us. We love Vladimir Suki games, and just it looks cool. It's such a cool theme. It's just the way it works and the way the theme moves into the mechanics just seems super cool. Woodcraft was like, we were like, clear number 1 is Woodcraft. Yeah. Everything else we'll figure out from there, but number 1 was
you can grow
Woodcraft.
trees and make more wood dice. Come on, people.
Seems great. But nonetheless, that is our list. That is our top 10 most anticipated games. Again, our list was like 30 games long. So like there were a lot of games that we're really, really excited for that we just didn't get to put on this list. So hopefully Essen is awesome. If you're going, let us know how it went. Let us know what you picked up. Let us know down in the comments what you're interested in seeing at Essen if you're going to be there, or just you're interested in learning more about. If you're not going to be there like us, we're not going to be there. And just have a great Essen, have a safe Essen. And I think that's going to be it, huh?
Yeah, we'll see y'all on the other side. We can't wait to hopefully try these games someday. Have a great day. I am Mike.
I'm Nick.
That was our top 10 most anticipated games for Essen Spiel 2022.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you so much for watching that top 10. We are so excited for all of these games at Essen. Let us know down in the comments below what games you're excited for. We want to give a big shout out to Lucky Duck Games, Board Game Geek, and Restoration Games for being sponsors of the Brother Murph as a whole. And we want to give a big shout out to Chris Thorstad and the Thorstad clan for being amazing and for sponsoring us for the month of September. Y'all are awesome. We absolutely love that family. Fellow Norwegians, they're wonderful. We love them to death. Thank you so much for watching this. Make sure to check out other top 10s on the right side of your screen right there, and have a great day.